Lions TV, we are sponsored by Regal Elevators and Lifts Consultants Limited, a company that is owned and operated by a Millwall fan, just like every single one of the sponsors that you can see on the screen right now. If you are going to do a bit of business in the chaos, the madness, bruv, that is 2020, then please keep it in the Millwall family by checking out all of our sponsors' website links in the description below. This is your Monday roundup show. We're going to look back at Saturday's game away to Wycombe. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow night at the Den against Luton, and wedged in between, we're going to be hearing from Benjamin Bloom and his thoughts on us signing Kenneth Zohore. But before that, let's start out by rewinding to Saturday and the starting 11 that Gary Rowett picked to start the match. So I predicted that Gary Rowett would go with an unchanged side for the team that lost before the international break to Swansea, and he didn't. He made 3 changes, and not only that, he changed the formation. It was Bulkowski in goal, flat back 4, Marlon Romeo, Murray Wallace left back, 2 centre-backs were Hutchinson and Cooper. It was Ryan Leonard and Ryan Woods in the centre of midfield, and then we had the 10 that I've been saying we should have for so long. Tom Bradshaw was in behind Matt Smith, with Conor Mahoney on the left and Jed Wallace on the right. Before people start saying in the comments, we played 4-4-2. We didn't play 4-4-2. Gary Rowett never plays a 4-4-2. The players don't ever practice 4-4-2 in training. They set up 2 different ways, either a 4-2-3-1 or the way we usually play with the 3 centre-backs. Take it from a man in the know. It definitely was not 4-4-2. So the 3 changes that come with that, of course, Murray Wallace come in for Malone. A bit more of a defensive left-back. I don't think it was any reflection on how Scott Malone's been playing, because I think he's been brilliant for us so far. Conor Mahoney comes in for Mason Bennett. I was going to say this after, but I'll say it now. It's fresh in my mind. I think it's time to play Mahoney instead of Bennett. I like Bennett. When he came to the club, I've done nothing but praise him. He's clearly talented. A few people obviously were worried about his potential to constantly get injured, and I backed him and said he just needed a good pre-season under his belt, but he's missed Saturday's game due to injury. I'm starting to think now, and it pains me to say it, as good as I think he is, I don't think in 10 years' time, if you look at Mason Bennett's Wikipedia page, it's going to say Derby to Millwall 200 appearances. I think it's going to say Millwall 30 performances, Rotherham, and Havant and Waterlooville, work your way down the leagues. Unfortunately, I think that's what's probably going to end up happening to Mason Bennett. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's watching this and wants to prove me wrong, but I just can't see it at the minute, and it's a shame because he is talented. The only thing you've got problem with this as well is, and again, I'm not digging a gaffer out, I'm just telling you out straight how I think it is. Mason Bennett and Ryan Woods, regardless of how they perform, seem to be absolute, definite starters and first names on the team sheet for Gary Rowett. You can understand why he does it. I'm not saying he favours them, but they are both players that he's worked with before, and both players that he's brought to the club. So a little bit worried from that point of view. Listen, as I said, I'd play Mason Bennett if he was fit and Conor Mahoney, and I'd probably have Jed in central or Bennett in central. But at the minute, straight shootout between Mahoney and Bennett, I'd go with Mahoney. I really liked how he played again, Mahoney. Although it wasn't at his best, he didn't show responsibility. He wasn't trying to get rid of the ball. He was composed and confident around the box. And I strongly believe, especially now he's fit. Mason Bennett isn't even fit. Since Bennett's been at the club, he's had 2 or 3 injuries, spells out, only short ones. But regardless, Conor Mahoney's been there the entire time, fit to play the entire time. And he hasn't done that. And I think now really is the time that Conor deserves a run of games ahead of Mason Bennett, and he's only going to improve, and I can just see it with him. I can see it's going to happen. So give him that run of games, and if he does play shit, you can put it on me. And of course, the only other change was one because of the change of formation. Alex Pearce, the skipper, drops out, and Matt Smith comes in with Tom Bradshaw playing just behind him. Matt Smith unlucky not to score in the game. We'll get onto that in a minute. I think it makes us less defensive. I know people think 3 at the back, 2 wing backs. I think the 4 makes us more solid at the back. I think it makes us more defensive, not less defensive. So I think it's definitely a formation, I've banged on about it for long enough, and I think it's one now with a win on the board. Even though we're going to switch to home this week, I think it's one we've got to stick with. And as I said, I'll get onto that later on. Let's get into this game. The first 10-15 minutes was absolute dog shit. Let's have it right. Just complete head tennis, completely just no standard at all from both teams. I'm not just talking about us. Then the absolute catastrophic mistake from Bart Bulkowski. I love Bart. He's an unbelievable shot stopper. He can't use his feet, and he's proved that again Saturday. When it comes back to him, usually he just shells one long, and that's what he's got to do, because he starts trying to do step overs in his own box, and that's what can happen. And it's the typical Millwall way that Wycombe get their first goal of the season at the cost of us in an absolute calamity style. So yeah, 1-0 down. They didn't really threaten us though, did they? Other than that at all, I don't think Bart had much to do other than in the second half, which we'll get into shortly. But Took us about 20 minutes. Then we started to get going. Jed Wallace, by the way, for as much as I dig him out constantly, he was absolutely superb Saturday. His first couple of deliveries, short ones, kicking it off a defender's leg, which frustrated me. But after that, he got into his stride. He just got better and better as the game went on. Good balls into the box. Murray Wallace hits the bar. And we're applying loads of pressure. We're getting balls into good areas, but without really finding a finishing touch. Listen, another day we could have scored 4 or 5. We were unlucky. We've hit the bar 3 times in the game. So, fine margins. As I said, another day that could have been 4 or 5 on the ball for us. And we're looking at the game in a completely different light. But we get to half time and I wasn't happy. I was at the beanback at the Den as well. And that was a good day. Again, potentially nearly ruined by the football. But no, it was a frustrating half, and again, I put that out there at half-time, and I do put them things out there knowing I can be shot down when I've criticised the 2 central midfielders, and then Ryan Leonard scores the winner. But I'll stand by what I said. They wasn't doing it the central midfield too, and despite Leonard's winner, I still don't think either of them played well, especially Woods. And I know there'll be a shitstorm there in the comments. Woods is a luxury player. He'd be brilliant in a much better side. His distribution and his technical ability is fantastic, but for me, he just sits too deep and he doesn't get enough involved in games. And I didn't think it was his best game by any stretch. And we needed more from every one of them in the second half, which is what we got. The second half starts like a house on fire, ball into the box. And as Kieran rightly said in his fan cam, finally a referee notices a foul on Matt Smith. Absolutely rugby tackle to the ground. And Jed Wallace steps up and dispatches the penalty for 1-1. After that, you expect us to go and win the game. But in the Millwall fashion, we don't. Another calamity, a corner from Joe Jacobson, who I marked as the one to watch for them. Got a sweet left foot. He scored from direct corners before. He did that last year in the playoffs against Fleetwood, I believe. I watched that game on Sky. So it's something they practiced before, and the cross comes in, straight over Bart's head, goes in. I've had a couple of beers by this point, by the way, so I didn't see anything wrong with it. To be fair, everyone around me didn't see anything wrong with it, and neither did the boys in the fan cams after the game. So when we've watched it back, again, I still didn't see anything wrong with it. And it's taken I don't know if you've seen the Quest, the channel that shows all the goals from the championship games across the board. So they've actually spotted it on there, and the guy's leant in, he's grabbed Bart's hand and he's yanked him towards him. In turn, not allowing Bart to change his momentum and get backwards and tip it over the bar. It's gone straight in. It was a foul. It was soft, but it was a foul in the laws of the game, and it was rightly disallowed. So I did say, and the other boys have said as well, we got away with one there. We didn't get away with one. We actually got a correct decision once from the officials. After that, I thought we really started to play well. And I'll save that to the end. We started to play well. We turn on the style. Matt Smith hits the bar from another brilliant Jed Wallace cross. After that, Ryan Leonard, and again, this is why Leonard has to play at the minute. He's not the pick of a bad bunch in that area. A lot of us want Ben Thompson to play. And again, by the way, just on a quick note of that, without sounding too down and depressing, he started Tom Bradshaw in front of Ben Thompson in a 10 there. So that tells you everything you need to know, I think, for Ben Thompson's future at the club under Gary Rowett. In my opinion, I might be wrong, but the ball gets crossed. Matt Smith brilliantly knocks it down, and Ryan Leonard is on hand to fire in an absolute weldy again. He doesn't score. He don't score tap-ins, the boy, does he? He just seems to keep popping up in the right area, and he is very much composed in and around the box and from outside it as well, as this one was, and smashes it in the only place it could have really gone. He was under pressure from a defender. It's a great strike from Leonard, straight into the top corner, and we're 2-1 up. After that, we never looked like faltering. We had another chances, I think. Jake Cooper, I nearly forgot that one. I never forgot that. Jake Cooper, free kick on the halfway line, standing next to Hutchinson. They're having a chat. He's hit it. He's hit the bar. So unlucky again, and it's absolutely inches away from making it 3-1. I thought we played well second half. We saw the game out well second half. The game finishes 2-1, and I said in my full-time reaction, I didn't want to say too much about it and go into it too deep without really thinking about it over the next couple of days. 2 reasons that is. One, because the full-time reactions now I'm doing them indoors, although Saturday I was at the Den, they've gone on to be a little bit too extended, I feel. And if I'm doing live streams as well for 2.5 hours during the game, it's not really giving me a lot to say on a Sunday for the post-match. But I also felt that because I wasn't sure how I felt about how we played. We've won the game, and that's all you can ask. There is no easy games in this division. And yes, it's Wycombe, and yes, they haven't got a point on the board, and yes, they've lost 5 out of 5. But I just felt we should be flexing our muscles almost at times against teams like this. There, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I expect too much. But we've been back in the Championship now for 4 seasons. We're an established side, in my opinion. We should be pushing for a top 10. In my opinion. So there's no complaints. We've won the game. And if you look at Norwich have gone to Rotherham and scraped a 2-1 win. And Rotherham had 10 men for some of that game as well. So a win is a win on the board, yes. I don't mind losing games. I wouldn't mind going to Wycombe and losing. Well, that's a lie. I probably fucking would. But if we play well, we assert ourselves, there's a little bit of excitement, then I'm happy. That's all I want. And it was that Saturday, there was calamities from our goalkeeper. There was another goalmouth scramble where Ryan Wood started to go on and run on his own box. Then Hutchinson got the ball, and I didn't think they realised where they were on the pitch. They're trying to take people on inside their own area. But we didn't scrape a win. We did win the game comprehensively in the end on reflection. But I think it's just football across the board. Maybe I'm being too critical of Millwall because I'm not enjoying any football at the minute. And yesterday I started watching some shit on the telly. I thought it was at Palace Brighton. Nothing was really happening. There was a couple of scuffles on the pitch, but the only interesting points. It's just not as entertaining as it is without the fans across the board. That's not just us. So maybe I'm expecting too much. And I just feel, if I'm honest, we are where we are in the division now, sitting 7th. We have a very good opportunity with the upcoming games to push on without really playing well or really performing or turning up or performing or turning up for sustained periods. I did say this after the Swansea game. We need to be consistent for longer periods, and I'm not sure why. I mean, obviously at half-time, I assume the players have responded to a Gary Rowett bollocking, and rightly so, because the first half definitely wasn't good enough. Not for me, not in my opinion. What I'm expecting now from the team we got, the players we got, the management we got, and the direction that the club is going in. So look, we're sitting pretty. We ain't firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. We play well in patches. Second half Swansea, second half Wycombe. But at the end of the day, it's job done on 3 points on the board. So before we move on to tomorrow's game at the Den against Luton, we're going to hear from YouTuber Benjamin Bloom. He's been on the channel before. I see his content getting shared around a lot on Millwall pages. He absolutely knows his football. He's spot on. And if you haven't already, check out his championship channel. It's called the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel on YouTube. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter as well. Really knows his stuff. We had him on pre-season, and I asked him if he wouldn't mind sharing his thoughts on us signing Kenneth Zohore going forward. So here it is, Benjamin Bloom's thoughts on us signing Kenneth Zohore on loan from Cardiff.
The Ken Zohore signing at Millwall is an interesting one for a few reasons. Firstly, because they seem to have been playing sort of one up top with a little bit of support, and there are already players there looking at that position, i.e. Bodvarsson, Smith, Bradshaw. Others can maybe do both. Maybe, I don't know, Bradshaw can go to one side, or maybe Parrott can go to one side. But they do look fairly stacked in those striking positions now, which is a good thing, and it also gives Gary Rowett the opportunity, if he wants, to then go to a front two. So that's all good. In terms of for the club, I quite like it, because this is a guy now that's coming on loan who has previously been involved with teams that were getting promoted out of the Championship. So he was a useful player in the Cardiff Neil Warnock type squad, wasn't he? And a useful player in the West Brom squad. Obviously, there's a bit of a caveat with that with West Brom, and this might not be Zohore's fault, but we all know West Brom wasn't about the striker last year. It was about the people playing off the striker, i.e. Dejan Garner and Pereira, Grzycki, Phillips, Kravinovic, etc. So how useful was he? Well, who knows? There were other more important players playing just off him last season. In terms of the deal, I would love to see what salary he's on from an 8 million transfer through to West Brom and what Millwall are paying. I'm sure, knowing Millwall and Berylson, that they won't be overpaying, but I like the idea that Millwall are now adding players who are proven in the Championship, people like Ryan Woods and people like Ken Zohore. That's what I've been saying they need to do to now make the step up into solid top 10 proper playoff challenge, and being in those positions rather than just falling short like they have a couple of times. Remember though, big picture, the fact that they're there without parachute payments is a huge feather in the cap. So in short, I like Zohore into Millwall. I'm interested to see how he gets used. He gives a few different options, and as I say, the perception now, Millwall are going after players who are used to being up at the top of the Championship now. So I say good news.
So let's move on to tomorrow night at the Den against Luton Town. What team will the gaffer go with? I hope he sticks with the same team and the same formation. I hope he doesn't revert to 3 at the back, because I'm convinced that doesn't work for us at home, and I'm convinced that this 4-2-3-1 is definitely the way forward. No fresh injury worries ahead of tomorrow, but Varson and Fergie, of course, were on the bench. I wouldn't personally like to see either of those kick a football, but they're going to be fitter than they were because they've been away on international duty. Of course, as Benjamin Bloom's just mentioned, our new signing Kenneth Zohore will be available. I don't think he'll start. I think he could be on the bench. He could potentially get minutes. But look, Bradshaw scored recently. Matt Smith always scores. Now we've got Zohore in there. And Troy Parrott's not a million miles away from fitness. So it's very good. It's a very good time for the club. Competition for places. And that can only be a good thing. That'll drive the players to want to keep their shirts on their backs more than ever. So tomorrow night at the Den, Luton are the opposition. Let's move on to them. And of course, they're managed by Nathan Jones, who returned to the club, a very successful manager for Luton. He obviously left for Stoke where it didn't work out for him. And now he has come back to where he was so successful previously at Kenilworth Road. Luton are doing well this season. They currently sit one place above us, 6 in the table. They've won 3 and lost 2 of their first 5 games. Last time out, losing 2-0 at home to Stoke City. They've had 2 home games on the bounce, and now they're coming away from home to South Bermondsey. They'll be hoping to get things right and get a point on the board at the absolute minimum. So this is your pre-match prediction, and here we go. I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 Millwall win with Jeb Wallace and Matt Smith getting the goals. I feel that, as I said, the formation is going to work for us. I feel that Jed's on form, despite me always slagging him off. Matt Smith is on form, despite me always slagging him off. And I feel that a big man between the sticks owes just one and will keep a clean sheet. So I'm going for a 2-0 win, which could see us potentially go very high in the table. I'm not sure exactly what position, but over the next course of the 3 or 4 games, we've got 3 home games against Luton, Barnsley, Preston away, and then Huddersfield at home. No disrespect to the 3 games we've got at home, the teams I'm talking about. Definitely winnable ones, other than Barnsley, of course. A little bit of a bogey side. So that's your lot for this Monday Roundup show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, a big thanks to Benjamin Bloom. I'll be busy this week. There'll be videos out every day this week and next. We've got midweek games for the next 3 weeks, I think. So it's going to be a busy one in Lions TV Towers. I'll be back tomorrow for a live stream for the game from the Den, which is live on Sky Sports. But if you'd rather look at me instead, I can't fucking blame you. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.